8 to 10 glasses of water each day. This can be in form of soup, tea, water, cooked grains, and boiled vegetables.
Hi, my name is Doreen Tuhidire, coming to you from Be Money Wiser, and we're going to be bringing to you the hashtag 100 Ways to Be Money Wiser by Mrs. T. Tilda Nabandra. We're going to be running this hashtag 100 Ways to Be Money Wiser on U24 television. Don't miss out.
U24. Don't miss on U24.
Entrepreneurs Hub, giving you a deep and unique insight into agribusiness, services, ICT, and innovation, industrialization, and so much more. Entrepreneurs Hub, growing your small, medium, and large business entity. With yours truly, Sandra Kahunde.
This is Tano Tano from the Uganda National Lottery. Win up to 10 million every 5 minutes. That's right, a new draw every 5 minutes from 6:45 a.m. to 11:45 p.m. Pick your numbers, choose your wager, or go to Quick Pick and get in the game fast. Play at an authorized agent, online, or dial *278# from your phone. Win instantly. No waiting, no delay. Tano Tano is live. Your next chance to win is just 5 minutes away. Ituba is the proud operator of the Uganda National Lottery.
Uganda National Lottery. Dream, play, win.
Participants must be 18 years or older. Play responsibly. The Uganda National Lottery is operated by Ituba Uganda and regulated by the National Lotteries and Gaming Regulatory Board.
Youth of Purpose.
A very good evening, and of course you are welcome to Youth of Purpose right here at U24. And now today we are going to be discussing the youth perspective in the recent concluded Central Executive elections of the NRM party, but also the special interest groups ahead and how far we have gone. Particularly last week, we had the Central Executive Committee elections of the NRM party, which is the ruling party. And of course, today we are going to be diving into how it went, and especially the chaos that came in aspect of the young people's participation. And of course, Cheslin Ankunda is my name, and I will be hosting this conversation. I'm going to allow my panelists to introduce themselves, and I'll start it off with my immediate left, Edgar.
Thank you very much, Tristan. I am Edgar Stewart Mujisha. I am here as the chairperson of the youth committee, that is Shema Central Division. It's a sub-county. I served in the capacity of the 90th Guild Speaker of Makerere. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Edgar, for joining us. And I hope from the perspective of a chairperson at the sub-county level or division level, you'll be able to give us your insights, especially on how it is for young people's participation in the NRM party. Next to Edgar is Miracle. Miracle, please, if you can introduce yourself to our listeners.
Okay, thank you so much, Tracelyn. My name is Nasazi Miracle, currently serving as the 91st Deputy Guild Speaker, Makerere University, a passionate young leader and enthusiast, and I'm happy to be here.
Thank you so much, Miracle, for joining our conversation tonight. And of course, our very own Emanzi. Introduce yourself to us.
Thank you so much. My name is Mujisha Emanzi. I'm a Pan-Africanist and I'm glad to be on this show, adding context and having a lot of fun with the young people. I thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Emanzi. Now, to get it back to the conversation that we are having today, if you've just joined us, this is Youth of Purpose, and last week we had the national elections for the NRM party, which is the ruling party. Now, the NRM party has elections, especially in terms of the Central Executive Committee, but it also has special interest groups. Now, special interest group elections are around young people who are in the youth structures, that is the National NRM Youth League. We also have the Workers' League, we have the Veterans League, we have the Older Persons League, we have the Women's League, among others. So last week, some of the elections could have gone on well and successfully, but particularly for the young people, elections did not go as it was expected. Out of the number of positions that were there, only one position was held, and still which has contentions because there's an ongoing case in the NRM tribunal. And particularly, I'm not allowed to comment on the case that is still ongoing, but we're going to have a conversation on what we think the atmosphere is like for young people's participation. And I'll begin it off with you, Stuart. Who was at the event, or who was at Kololo? What was your perspective, especially in terms of young people's participation?
Thank you very much. I will begin with the SEC elections.
Yes.
The NRM, which I am a member of, has the top organ, which is the Central Executive Committee. The Central Executive Committee, headed by the chairman, brings together the chairpersons of the leagues, which are the special organs, and then the vice chairperson, the regional vice chairperson, the first and the second. Now, something I realized when we were voting is that the voting was sort of a planned move, because the way the historicals were chased out of the party, honestly, you would first reconsider your priorities in life. We saw people like Kadaga being humiliated publicly. We saw Chris Baryomunsi being chased. Afande Jim Muhezi was also chased.
When you talk about them being chased, I thought it was legitimately through an election.
Yes, I do accept that an election was held, but the election in the context of the National Delegates Conference is an election whereby people are given 1 million each person.
Yes.
So if someone has a deliberate ill will towards you, they will give your opponent a lot of money. Some people are given money in dollars. Even some people are given $100 each, $300 each. That is, to me, that is a higher power saying that we no longer need you. Please leave our party. And to me, it signaled transition. For the special interest group elections, they were baffling, to be honest. We waited the first day. Dr. Tango Doe had brought electoral officials that were in favor of one camp, and we wondered, how do you do this in an election that is at national level? When the candidates protested, they were postponed to the next day. The next day, instead of elections happening at 10 a.m., they took place at 2 a.m. in the night. When they took place at 2 a.m. in the night, electoral officials voted, bystanders voted. The youth refused to hold other elections until when the president listens to their cries. The president had to postpone the election. So it showed me, and I've spoken about this before, I'll speak about it again, that the youth spaces have been taken up by people that do not serve our interests. And that is my take on the SIG election. Thank you so much. The
youth spaces have been taken up by people who do not represent interests of young people. Miracle, to get to you. Yes. From a perspective of women in leadership, and particularly from an institution like Makerere University that has nurtured and been the bedrock of very many other young girls into the transition of those spaces.
Yes.
What is your view on the recent concluded elections, especially in terms of inclusivity of women, looking at the aspect that the National Youth League actually does not have an affirmative action seat? You have a whole district having 5 men, to another district 5 men, but even to the sub-county chairpersons, you have men. What is your say on that, especially in terms of bringing more women into the political spaces, particularly the NRM?
Okay. You've said it quite straight, Tracy. The representation of women in these structures, especially the National NRM Youth League, has been at a very, very low percentage for the women. And you find women competing in these positions with men, which is quite unfair, depending on different factors, finances, and stability. It is a lot. And that calls for a reform in these structures, like you've said. When you look at the recent elections, we've seen few of ladies really coming up for these positions. Very few women. And that is a call for the NRM and the entire structure to call for reforms in these whole structures. Thank you.
But Miracle, when you say that again, the National Resistance Movement has a segment for National Women League, the NRM Women's League.
Yes.
Is it that functional, or does it belong to a certain category of women that particularly maybe young people from 18 to 30 still get blocked out from that? What is your say on that?
From the perspective of the Women's League, from the look of things, I've not seen many young women taking up these positions. The structure, the component itself is not very vibrant. We've not seen the Women Youth League very vibrant. And that shows you that maybe even the people in these positions have not done quite enough to, represent the people, to actually put up a call for those who come after them. So you find many ladies trying to compete in other structures that they find very vibrant, where they can actually impact. And so the call is, how do we make the Women Youth League functional? Because from the look of things, very few people are involved, very few young girls are involved, and that shows an underrepresentation and also lack of functionality. Yeah.
Lack of functionality, and I hear you when you say that. I have a friend, one time they were running under National Youth Council, but people in National Youth Council were bouncing the person, go to Women's League. But the Women's League was also saying, no, you're a young girl, go to National Youth Council. So eventually you find you're either hanging or you force yourself somewhere where perhaps the challenges could be much more than you intend to take in. But thank you so much for that. Emanzi, particularly your view on the SEC. And Mugisha here mentioned something to do with transition. Is it time for transition? What is your say?
Thank you. Personally, I think it's been time for transition. It's long overdue.
Yes.
However, the transition that I talk about here is not so much about the transition of power from one individual
to another,
but rather a transition of systems, because if, in all honesty, what we witnessed at Kololo ceremonial grounds is anything to go by, I would think, in my humble opinion, that we need an overhaul or a restructuring of how most of the elections, especially these that are conducted in such a format, are held. I'll give an example. The postponement of the national youth elections, after that debacle that we witnessed, in the wisdom of the powers that be, a postponement was not in the interest of an arbitrary settlement between the two conflicting parties.